All right, students, and we are back. So in this final tutorial, we are going to cover how to add other different types of media. So the main elements from the previous were to add a slideshow, to add a picture, and text boxes. But for this purpose of this video, we're going to go ahead and add a video, and we're also going to add different shapes and icons, okay? One thing I will also note is that Joomag is very resource intensive, as I mentioned. It's even starting to slow my desktop computer down, which is pretty high powered. So if it starts bogging down on your computer, it's okay to delete the slideshow. That's the most intensive, and put it back at the very end. Okay, if it seems to slow your computer down. Most students should be fine with just playing it, but it depends on the age of your computer. All right, with that being said, let's get right into it. I'm going to go over here to the toolbar and go to the video option. Okay, so when I click video, it's going to allow me to select from library. You can upload one here from here, but we're going to go to select from library, and I already have one in the DMP tutorial files. It's called Falling Leaves. So I'm going to hit select on there, and I'm going to hit autoplay and show control. So that's going to allow, all right, if we were to actually publish this one, it would allow someone to actually scrub through it. So we're going to go to add to page, and there it is. So you can expand it and move it around just like you would with a regular text box or picture box. So what I want you to do is let's make it so it's about the same width as this, but I'm going to snap it over to the left side. Now it is overlapping this a little, and sometimes using the freeform mouse to move it around is a little difficult. So a little pro tip for you in this video: you can, if you select something, you can move it up and down, left and right using the mouse. So you can notice right now I'm just clicking the up and down, left and right using my mouse, and that will kind of like adjust it. Okay, so I'm gonna snap it left again just to make sure it's 100% there. What I want you to do is get your video to look like mine with a little bit of a gap underneath the lighthouse, so it's got a little bit of symmetry. Okay, pause this video as needed. All right, so at this point there's two more elements we're going to add. The first one is the rectangle tool, which is just like the circle tool, and the line tool. So for the rectangle tool, when you click it, it defaults to this really boring gray, but I'm going to move it around here and adjust the size to be about the same height as my slideshow, a little bit of gap in between. But notice on our right toolbar, we can now change the fill and the stroke. The fill is the inside, the stroke is the border. If it has a red slash through it, that means there's no border or no fill. So we're going to keep the stroke at just the red slash because we don't need a border. But under fill, go ahead and change it to a color that you like. Okay, so there's the palette here, or you can select different colors by using the slider. So I'm just going to pick pink, and we're good. All right, so let's zoom in on it and just because I'm picky, adjust it so it's nice and lined up with everything here, and there's a nice symmetric gap. So at this point, pause the video if needed to make your document look like mine. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and add an icon now. So that's what this star shape is. Okay, it's not an actual star that you add, it's an icon. So when you click on that, it's going to allow you to find many different icons. So if you click on files, you're going to see a bunch of random categories. So pick one that you feel you like. Personally, okay, when I'm looking through this, some of the better ones are the arrows and letters, because these are like icons. Say you're writing a story about school, you could use this book icon, something like that. So pick any icon that you like. I'm going to just pick this book one, hit add to page, and there it is. And just like shapes, when I have it selected, you can change the fill color because it defaults to this gray. I'm going to just change this book to a yellow and shrink it. And the one thing about icons that's a little bit tricky is that when you shrink it, it does compress it, and it does go ahead and widen it. So I'm going to go ahead and just make sure it looks proper and expand it to that. All right. Joomag is a little bit jumpy sometimes if your screen kind of adjusts left and right, because I'm pretty zoomed in. All right, so let me zoom out so it's a little bit better. All right. So at this point, get your icon in here to fill up this space. We're going to add one more thing down in this little space right here, so don't fill that in. Okay, but pause this video as needed. All right. So at this point, the last thing I'm going to add is a line. So a line is a good divider. Lines are a little difficult to work with because it's hard to move it around. Notice I'm trying to grab it right now and I can't move it. That's because in order to move a line, you gotta click and grab on the inside. So you got to zoom in pretty far and move it. So even right now you can see I accidentally clicked the rectangle here. So that's the one little tricky part about lines that you're going to have to be careful. So I'm going to grab this, and it's still not zoomed in far enough for me to allow it. So once it allows me to, I can manipulate it. Okay. So stroke, once again, is going to be for the line. We're going to go ahead and change the color here. Let's make it, I'm going to make this one blue so it's a little bit bigger. You can also change, okay, the stroke thickness. The thickness will allow you to grab the line a little bit better and position it, and then you can always bring it back down. So I'm going to go ahead and set it to 12 and zoom out because I should be able to grab that line easier. And what I would like you to do is expand this from the left to the right and make a little divider for the top part of your document and the bottom part. So once I have done that, even though I had it set at 12 to go ahead and expand it, 12 is a little too thick, so I'm going to bring it back down to 2. And now that's a nice looking divider. So I'm going to zoom out so you can see the overall effect. What that allows you to do is separate your document. Lines are used for separation of sections. Okay, so at this point, we got a beautiful looking document coming along. So I'm going to zoom out so you can see the whole thing. Obviously, hit save. So if you have gotten to this point, okay, your document should look exactly like mine. Things that I want you to note, okay, look at the snapping. Look at how everything is symmetric and organized. Okay, as you practice those skills, okay, you're going to find, right, your document will come together much smoother, cleaner, and look better. So if you have completed all the tutorials, okay, this is the beginning of understanding this software. Okay? At the end of the tutorial, I'm going to check you off for completion, and you'll get a full grade for this. There is a Joomag test over this where I'm going to give you a sample layout where you have to recreate it using everything that you learned. Okay? So at this point, if you need to review any of the videos, definitely do so. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. All right. That concludes this tutorial.